This is the bookings worksheet, and it currently contains bookings made by attendees to the Asia Yoga Conference. You can see here on row 5, we have a column for each field in our list. We have the last name, first name of the person who made the booking, their nationality, the hotel that they booked at, the room type that they booked, the dates when they're staying in the hotel, the number of rooms booked, and the room rate paid. And we have 3 empty columns here that we need to fill in first. We need to calculate the total number of nights, the total room nights, which would be total nights times total number of rooms, and the total amount paid. And here we have 2 more columns. How many people are in this booking, and will they need transportation to and from the airport? So let's fill in these 3 columns first. So let me work on the booking for Barry Lloyd, the first one. So let's calculate the total number of nights that he'll be staying in the hotel, which is simply checkout minus check-in date. So that will be G6 minus F6. Okay, and that gives us the answer, which is 6 nights. And you can double click to see the formula. The total room nights would be total nights, J6, times, which would be Shift 8 on the keyboard to give you the asterisk symbol, J6 times number of rooms, which is H6. So number of rooms times number of nights. And that gives us 12. And the total amount would be the room rate, which is the rate paid per room per night, times total room nights. So I6 times K6. Okay, so we've calculated these 3 formulas: total amount, total room nights, and total nights. And now we can simply copy these 3 formulas all at once to the remaining rows. So point to this black square here, which is called the fill handle, and just pull it all the way down, okay, to the very last row. So now we have the complete set of data for our bookings. And now we can move on over to exercise 4-1 here, where we're going to calculate number of bookings for each hotel, room nights for each hotel, and room revenue for each hotel. So let's start with number of bookings. For number of bookings, we're going to use a function called COUNTIF. And the way COUNTIF works is it accepts 2 arguments. The first argument is the range that you want to count. And the range that we want to count is here, D6 to D38 of the bookings worksheet. And what do we want to count? We want to count the number of times that the value of the cells in this range is equal to a particular hotel. So let's say we want to count the number of bookings for Royal Garden Hotel. So we want to count how many times the name Royal Garden Hotel appears in this range, because every time it appears, that's 1 booking. And that's how we calculate the number of bookings. So let's go over here now, and let's enter our formula. So equal, and then I type C, and as you can see, I get a drop-down list. So I can just scroll down here until I find the function I want, which is COUNTIF. So at this point, I can just double-click, and it fills it in for me. Now, the first argument is the range that I want to count. And I already showed you earlier that the range is in another worksheet. So we have to enter the sheet reference first, which is bookings. Then the exclamation point to separate the sheet reference from the range reference. And the range reference is D6 colon D38. And since we're going to copy this formula in a little while, we need to put a $sign here just to make sure when we copy this formula to another row, the row numbers will stay the same. Comma. Now the second argument is the criteria. So we don't want to include all the cells in this range in the count, only the ones whose value is equal to Royal Pacific Hotel and Towers. Now we could actually do this, equal Royal Pacific Hotel and Towers. Okay, we could do that and then press enter. It actually gives us the answer, which is 5. But if I did it this way, I could not copy this formula to rows 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 because my criteria will always be equal to a specific hotel name. So to make this formula more flexible, I'm going to change the way I write the second argument. So instead of putting an exact value there, an exact criteria to look for, I'm going to use this cell reference. So you can do that this way too. If I put A6, what this means is count the number of times that the value in A6, which right now is set to Royal Pacific Hotel and Towers, appears in the range D6 to D38 in the booking sheet. Okay, now I press enter. The answer should be the same as a while ago, but now if I copy it to the remaining rows here, okay, now you'll see for B7, the second argument has adjusted, and from A6 it now refers to A7, which is Kimberly Hotel. So that's exactly what we want. Same thing here on row 8. The second argument has adjusted according to the new row, so now it became A8. So this is what we want. So now we're done with this column. We just simply have to click AutoSum here and sum B6 colon B11, and the total number of bookings is 33. So we have just demonstrated the use of COUNTIF function. In the next part of our exercise, we're going to calculate the total room nights. Here, the total room night for each hotel, and we're going to use a function called SUMIF. SUMIF. So the way SUMIF works is it takes three arguments. The first argument is the range that you want to apply your criteria to, which in our case is D6 to D38, because we only want to include those room nights which belong to a specific hotel. Our second argument will be the criteria that we apply, which is the hotel name. And the third argument to the SUMIF is the range that we want to sum, which is here in K6 to K38, total room nights. So let's get started. Let me enter the SUMIF function here. So I type uppercase S, and as usual, I have a drop-down menu to choose from. So I simply select SUMIF here, and it gives me a template of the arguments that are expected. So the first argument is the range that we want to apply the criteria to. So that would be bookings, okay, D6 colon D38, comma. And I'm going to go ahead and put a $sign here now, so that when I copy it later on to the rows below it, the row references won't adjust. The second argument is the name of the hotel, which is in A6. That means we only want to include total room nights for those rows where the hotel name in D6 to D38 is equal to the value in A6, which is Royal Pacific Hotel and Towers. And the last argument is the sum range, the range that we want to sum. The range that we want to sum is the total room nights, which is also in bookings. It is in K6 colon K38. All right, so those are our three arguments. I do one last minute check, then I press enter, and the result is 53. And this formula is now in a form that I can just click and drag down below and copy. And I do AutoSum, and now I have the total room nights for all hotels. Now the third column here, total room revenue, will also need SUMIF function. We want to sum this column, total amount, okay, also for the given hotel, which is here in D6 to D38. Okay, so it's very similar to what we did earlier with total room nights. The only difference is the range that we want to sum is now L6 to L38. So let's go back here. Okay, SUMIF. Okay, the range that we want to evaluate is D6 colon D38. It must be equal to this hotel name. If it's equal, then we want to include the value that is in equal. We want to include the value that's in L6 colon L38 in the sum. And I press enter, and the answer is 25,826. And now I can just copy this to the remaining rows down here. I can do AutoSum, and I can format this using the comma style. And I've completed the three columns here. Number of bookings, total room nights, total room revenue for each of these hotels.